Good morning. Welcome to Ubiquity for the love of each other. Habari Ghani family. I am Camille, Lourde, Wyatt, and we have Ada Marie Babineaux, and we are the hosts, the founders, and producers of Ubiquity for the Love of Each Other podcast. This is our initial launch, and we're very excited to be here because we love Ubiquity so much. We decided to connect the world to our family. So
you're going in and out. You're going in and out. Okay, go ahead.
We are welcoming you to join us.
Okay, so that music got me going in the morning. I want to give a shout out to our brother James June, who did the music in the opening. But I bet everybody's wondering in the world, what the heck is Ubiquity? It's not, because when you Google it, it goes to some high tech thing. But we came before the tech. So we are an organization founded on Howard University's campus. We are so fortunate enough to have gone to an HBCU. Can I give a shout out for HBCUs?
Hey, choo.
So our podcast is highlighting Ubiquity and introducing Ubiquity to the world. Our organization is an Afrocentric organization that began on the campus of Howard University in Washington, D.C. in 1973. So we are 52 years old. The goal was to foster and strengthen the relationships between Black men and Black women, to create a family that raised the consciousness of the African American community. Take it, Camille.
This family-oriented group practices the principles of the Nguzo Saba, which is 7 principles of Blackness. It was instituted by scholar activist Maulana Karenga, PhD, or Dr. Karenga, Black culture history, etc., etc., etc. Let me say that again. First of all, hold on. Ubiquity was founded on the campus of Howard University in 1973. So this is actually the celebration of 52 years of Ubiquity. And we're honored to be here today. We're honored to be here. And we know that you all everybody may not know who and what Ubiquity is. So that's the whole real point of our podcast, is to introduce Ubiquity to the world.
So this is our first. So we are the founders of the podcast, but we are going to introduce you to some founding fathers. I want to say founding brothers and sisters for our next podcast. And one of the great things is these folks up in here. This is the 73.
Yes.
So they wanted something different on the campus of Howard. We had the Greeks, you had the Greeks, you had the AKAs, you had the Deltas, you had the Q, Alpha, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But they were looking for something different, something that had more of an Afrocentric philosophy and principles that weren't Greek. But I will say, Camille, if you were Greek, you could be Ubiquity. So we didn't discriminate.
Go ahead. Hold on. I just want to say, not that everyone knows what Afrocentric means. What does that mean, really? What does it mean, being Afrocentric? And what did it mean in the 70s? What did that mean in the 70s for them, being Afrocentric?
I think practicing more of African-centered values, history, culture within the group. We have things, they've instituted things within the group. First of all, there wasn't a pledging period where you are hazed or you whatever happens, I don't know, because it's private, that happens in these fraternities and sororities. But we had something called a trial period. And we were brothers and sisters on trial. It wasn't just separated, rated just sisters or just brothers. We came together as a unit in brotherhood and sisterhood. And the trial was a time where we did study halls together. We had Black nights. We had cultural nights, nights that were indicative of pulling the principles of the seven principles: Umoja, unity; Kujichagulia, creativity; Ujima, Ujama, corporate economics. All of that was instituted in the trial, in history, and study sessions, and community service. So those were the things that were the pillars of the organization. And of course, in the 70s, I heard there was a lot of partying as well. We hear that from the founders. It was a thing where people came together and wanted to strengthen the bonds between brothers and sisters, which is so needed.
I just wanted to I just wanted to really add something because there was a significance in the 70s coming off of the civil rights movements and still kind of in the middle of the tail end of the civil rights movement, where even being on a Black campus where Blackness was necessary. I think that's the Afrocentric piece that I was looking for. It's one thing to be, I believe, a Black American. It's another thing to reach our culture beyond these shores. And I really think that that was a very important initiative of the organization. And the founders will tell us, John Temple will tell us, and the others will tell us that that was really important. Reach back to who we really are, who we were before we got to these shores. And that's very significant. Howard University is a magnificent institution. It is the Mecca. Okay. It is the Mecca. And we're fortunate because all of our education was presented and delivered to us through Black lens. So we found out things about ourselves that we never got in maybe any of the white institutions that we came through, whether in the K through 12 system. We got a whole lot of other wonderful perspectives, world perspectives about who we are and were in the place.
I mean, I tell you, when I first came to Howard, my sister came before me, and my big sister, 2 years older than me, Karen Babineaux, shout out. And and when I came to visit her, because I'm coming from San Antonio, Texas, 7% Black folk. We're in the Black side of town, Black high school, but I didn't learn jack about history other than what I explored on my own until I got to Howard. I mean, I didn't.
Wow.
And then being on campus and seeing so many Black folks, being immersed in Black folks from all over the world, the
Yes.
Caribbean, the African, Central America.
Yes.
I mean, that just like, it just awakens you. And then when you take these classes, African American studies, and I took film, so we took film history, and I learned about Black independent filmmaking. Didn't know that existed till I got to HBCU. So I don't know, what was your story? Like, why did you come to Howard? And then we'll get into why you joined Ubiquity and how you're.
Well, I think what this is really cool because you mentioned coming from all over the country and coming from different cities, experiencing either being the majority or the minority or in the middle, and learning to adjust. I want to ask, before I talk about me, what was growing up Black in San Antonio like?
Well, for me, I'm on the Black side of town. My mom grew up on the Black side of town, East Side. We went to a Black junior high, Black middle school. So I was already around Black people, but it was in my little world because San Antonio is mainly Hispanic. So I'm not one of those people that came to Howard because I went to white middle schools, white high schools, whatever. Ours was Black, but still being in that environment, we still didn't learn majority Black history. We learned Hispanic history.
Yeah.
We learned the basic stuff in the history books that they teach you. We learned slavery, and then we learned civil rights. It's like, so we still were really left out of knowing self. I mean, I gravitated toward culture. I gravitated towards, I mean, I was doing book reports on Paul Robeson and reading James Baldwin and all of that because there was a natural gravitation of wanting to see and feel and touch and know myself. So I never did book reports on George Washington or whatever. I did George Washington Carver, or, you know, so that was just naturally in me, the gravitation and the connection and the love of and pride for my culture and my people. So going away to Howard just broadened that because I was learning so much and meeting so many different people. And it was just like it's an unexplainable experience, but you feel it.
You feel it. We all feel it. We all feel it. And that's, man, just the joy of being not
you
just
had a different experience though. You had a different experience. Like, what brought you to Howard? Because you told me you didn't even want to go to Howard.
Well, okay, so I'm from Boston, born and raised in Roxbury. And being from Boston, which is a predominantly white city, we were maybe 30% of the population. So a very, very, I don't want to say segregated, but you all know that there was a lot of segregation in Boston. Yeah, but it's so interesting, because when you grow up in your community, for us, it could be the same for you. You don't really know what is happening outside the world, because if you have decent parents, they kind of keep you insulated from that. You don't grow up around the hatred, so you stay in your community. So we stayed in our community, and I didn't learn about what was happening outside of the community until I was in the high school, or where I was going to high school. But for me, fortunately, my mother, just being a wonderful, just a great human being that she was, sent us to a performing arts school when I was 8 years old. The performing arts school was called the Elmore Lewis School of Fine Arts. And what it was a school that steeped young people who lived in the urban area, if you will, in the African and Black American and diasporic arts. So I was introduced to who I was at 8 years old. Even being in that city of Boston, none of that mattered. So we were taught by African drummers, Nigeria, Olatunji taught drums. We had George Howard, who taught African dances from the continent, from the Caribbean. He taught us African dance. And then we had instructors from New York, George Faison, who would come in and teach us ballet and modern. And we learned about Alvin Ailey and artists and Black sculptures and artwork and drama, and we learned about Langston Hughes, and we did shows about our culture. So I was fortunate to have that experience when I was 8 years old. So then I went to high school, and it was completely different. At that time, busing had started to occur, and so they were moving Black. This was as a result of the civil rights movement and us trying to not integrate so much, but just get better education. So I went to a predominantly white high school, and so my whole thing was changed. I was like, oh, a new world. And I had to not just adjust to, I had to step up into, because it was experience I never had. I didn't grow up with my daddy reading a Wall Street Journal. That's not how I grew up. So I didn't grow up
working class parents. Yeah,
working class. I didn't grow up around the whiteness, if you will, or capitalism, or what was happening in the European world. I just didn't. So when I got there, I was like, oh, okay. Oh, I'm not speaking correctly. I'm not writing correctly. My English verb agreement is not correct. Oh, the whole white world now. And I had to do well. So that was a challenge. I never spoke Latin. I don't know what the hell Latin is, but I had to learn it for 7 years. I had to learn. So it it was interesting when it was a college prep school, so everyone was going to college. And so when we were, and it was the Boston Latin school system was a college prep gearing children to go to Ivy League schools. So I was like, okay, I'm going to Ivy League school like all the other white children. And so, but my girlfriend, I had a girlfriend who was like, well, I'm going to apply to Howard. And I was like, what is that? She said, it's a black school. I was like, oh, black school? I'm not going to a black school. Why would I go to a black school? I'm going to a white school with the white children. And so I applied to 3 universities. I applied to Columbia, NYU, and Howard. The white children didn't accept me, but Howard did. Changed my life. Changed my whole life.
Yes,
my whole life.
Yes,
I got the DC. I was like, what? Black. Wait, everywhere. Black on black on black. Black on black. Whoa, oh. Black people, black doctors, black man, black, black stores, black restaurants. Oh my gosh. Changed my whole life.
It is life changing. It is life changing. So Ubiquity. So I mean, I didn't get to Howard until my sophomore year, and because I went to a white art school, which was like my world changed from Black San Antonio to white art school in California. Yeah. So I lasted 1 semester, and then I went to visit my sister, and then life changed. So yeah, how did you find out about Ubiquity? How did you get into Ubiquity? What was the interest in getting Ubiquity? Because there was a lot going on for you that semester. I remember you telling me that when you went out for Ubiquity in 1985.
Yeah, the thing about Ubiquity, which was really interesting. So again, it was a culture shock coming from the white institution because I had been absorbed into their way of thinking, into their I was going with them, so but when I got on campus, I was like, hey, wait a minute, this is who I remembered who I was. When you go through white institutions, they really downplay so much of who you think you are. You have to assimilate into their culture, so yours doesn't become as important anymore. It's like, right? So when I got on campus, I was looking for where I could blossom, where I could explore more of who I knew I was. And so I started in radio, but all of that was just part of the artistic expression. And I was
You did well in radio, but go ahead.
I did. Well, I was just I could tell a little bit about that. I shared it with you earlier. You want me to tell that story just a little bit?
Well, just a little bit. Yeah.
Okay, a little bit. So again, looking for artistic expression, just trying to grow it as an artist, just trying to grow that. And so, I was connecting with people, like-minded people, because that's the beauty about Howard. You find your tribe.
Yes.
Like they're different. Listen, Black people, we run the gamut. We're everywhere and we do everything. There are some of us who are political, or there are some of us who are artistic. There are some of us who may roam in different classes, if you will. There are some people who are more concerned with social status. There are some of us who are,
conservatives. I mean, there's just everything.
Yes, there's everything. There's conservatives, there's revolutionaries. We had the gamut on the campus, and that's the beauty of Black people. And so when you're finding your tribe, you were one of my tribe members, because you remember this. First of all, you and I started together. I've known you for so many years. We started in 1982 as freshmen at the School of Communication.
Well, I was 83.
Oh, okay.
I didn't start 82. I came on 83. I was the transfer.
I found you roaming the halls. roaming the halls. I was like, School of C. And we could have actually met at some event.
HBCU, probably. It might have been HBCU. You were doing we had a student radio station, HBCU. It might have been there because I was hanging there.
HBC. So
you were at HUR.
It
Yeah.
probably was because at the School of C, of course, we're communications, and we had to learn the fields we were going into. So you were probably hanging out at the television station, and I was hanging out at the radio station. It was WHBC, and you were at WHT.
WHMM. It was
W-
HMM. Now it's WHUR, but it was, I mean, no, WHUT is what it is
That's
now.
what
It
I
was
okay.
WHMM. Yeah.
WHMM. So,
Mhm.
and then, the great thing, we were always encouraged to just reach and grow and be who you are going to be. So, whether it was social or socially active activities, whether it was political, because Howard is a very political place. Like, you just can't not do nothing. And
Thank
being in
you.
DC, the nation's capital, you can't just not do nothing.
Mhm.
Especially when we were matriculating on campus, there was a lot of for the first thing we did was take over the A building
I
because
remember that.
because our university was invested in companies
South
that were doing business in South Africa. So one
Yes.
of the first activities we were involved in was taking over the A building and demanding that they divest from companies that were invested in South Africa.
I remember the president of PUSA student organization, Howard Newell, at the flagpole with the president, with pointing down. I was just like, oh my God, students can do that.
Right,
I mean,
right,
take over a bill. I was just like, and I was like, yeah, revolution. I mean,
right,
yeah, I was drawn toward that. I was drawn
right,
toward it. Yeah.
right, right. And so we gravitated towards those groups who spoke to that. And Ubiquity was one of the groups that spoke to that because I'm almost certain that members of Ubiquity that were on campus at the time were definitely like, let's go.
Yeah.
Let's go, y'all. Let's do it. And we're young and excited, and we're like, yes, let's do it. And then Ubiquity appears, and we gravitate towards that family and the
Also, I
familiar
want to say
message
one
that
of
we
the
carry.
vice president of PUSA at that time was Ubiquitarian. Minotti, it was Chris Cathcart, president, and Minotti was vice president that next year after Howard Newell left. And so
So yes. So
yeah, we were all, it was, yeah.
that's probably how I got to Ubiquity, to be honest with you, because I was public relations director for Howard University Student Association.
Yep,
Mhm. And
that's it.
Minotti, who was vice president, was
Mhm.
Ubiquitarian. And so
We
there was
know
a lot of
it was. I know. I was just thinking. For me, yeah, I love the revolutionary. I love the talk back, fight back. I love all that, the change makers. And so, but for me, I didn't know about ubiquity. Like my older sister, who's been influential in my life, I was just like, I mean, she said she was joining, and then I had another friend that was joining Paige, and then a couple of people, and I was like, well, I don't want to be by myself. I'll join. Just like join. Didn't know what the hell I was getting myself into, but ended up showing up, going to the interview, and we have to do the interview process, the open house, and I got accepted. Everybody got accepted, and we were on our way. But do you
yeah.
remember when we first started? I know this is going to be a minute because we got to reflect back 40 damn years. But when we first started, there was something called Black Night.
Mm.
And the whole concept of ubiquity was moving from me to we. So we as a group couldn't do anything thinking me. We had to think we. So we had to figure out how to get to the Black Night event the first night. And so we had to catch a bus from Northeast DC, if you all know DC, to Anacostia, which is on South. So we all gathered with our coats on or whatever. We had to wear black that night and caught a bus to go to Black Night. And that was our induction night, or our trial, to begin trial. And that was an amazing night because, once we went through the process, I'm not going to give away everything, but once we went through the process, and there was a time where you had to open up and tell about yourself. And the brothers and sisters, there were 17 of us, 3 brothers and the rest all sisters from different places around the country, New York, Philly, like I said, San Antonio, I don't know where all else, but we had to open up, and I'm just like, I'm in San Antonio, just light stuff. People started really opening up, and I was like,
Yeah.
this shit is heavy.
Yeah.
People had come from very diverse backgrounds. They were telling their stories, and it was really impactful to
Yeah.
learn about people's stories and to open
Yeah.
up where they came from, what they had to deal with. I mean, first we were first generation to be college educated, but people had
Yes.
really heavy stories, and then from there
Yeah.
you just kind of have to go on doing everything together, and you just start forming this bond, and where you're looking out for people, and you gotta make the necessary schedules in time for study hall, for community service, for everything. All the pillars from the Nguzo Saba were put into our daily weekly schedules that we had to
Hmm.
deal through. I think it was 7 weeks that we had to go through trial period as Abecedarians, one
Hmm.
who is in the process of learning. So the
Hmm.
founders who put that stuff together, it's like, wow, this is some heavy stuff. Even the name Ubiquity, we gotta like research. We talked to them like, where did that come from? Why?
Yeah, I wanna say that I think there was something very special about those who gravitated towards ubiquity because everybody didn't. I
Yeah.
mean, there has to be something within the individual within you that just yearns and loves your people so much that
Unapologetically. Unapologetically.
unapologetically that loves your people because we are an unapologetically black organization who loves the black man and the black woman and the black family. That
Mhm.
is who we are. And everybody wasn't down to hear that. Everybody
Mhm.
wasn't down for that. And we'll hear later how we're the first uh, fraternal organization, if you will, of males and females. The first
Mhm.
one, if not
And
one
one
of
of
the
the things I love about it is when I did talk to founders earlier, and we'll bring them in for our next episode. But one of the things is that there was the diversity was the thing. Diversity within us was the
hmm
thing.
hmm
Like I said, you could be a Q and be a Ubiquitarian. You could be, and there were people Ubiquitarians that would help when they did go pledge, would help them get through their own pledging periods, helping them, bringing them food and helping them with their studying.
hmm
So there was that kind of love. And that's why
hmm
we
hmm
need to ask where for the love for each other, where that came from. Like,
Yeah.
how did that happen? Because it's basically saying, we got your back, as your
Yeah.
brothers and sisters. Because
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
as you know, there's so much in family. I mean,
Yeah.
family got all kind of folk up in there.
hmm
We deal with family, and as a parent, you can raise your kids the same way, give them the same things, and they will come out two different kids.
Yeah.
Just different kids. And that's what it is in the
Yeah.
family. There's so many different personalities. There's so many. What I've seen is, in terms of the connectivity, are the things that are central is everybody is so creative and resourceful, and like you said, unapologetically, they have like a sense of pride. I think some people who came to Ubiquity were looking for that extended family that they didn't
Sure.
have in their own family. That
Sure.
they needed the brothers, they needed the sisters, they needed that sisterhood and brotherhood touch. And I think that's what
Sure.
drew people. But I think that there's so much in a family that you have to reckon with. But because they're the brothers and sisters, you do it. Like, people call you out.
hmm
They call you out. Well, I got called out
hmm
many times on trial period because
Did
I'm,
you?
I'm I'm a me person. I'm a me person. According to that, we should doing everything together when y'all having to do everything. Get on my nerves.
You
So
were rebellious. You were a little
I was
rebellious.
rebellious, and we one of the things we do have on trial period is we have a sponsor, and
hmm
we're called the special. So every special
hmm
has a sponsor, and that sponsor is your guardian angel, your role model, your advisor. I mean, that's who you go to with stuff.
hmm
So do you remember that? I had a sponsor from Philly, a brother from Philly. They usually try to match male with female a lot of times, but sometimes it's female to female, male to male, depending on what your needs are as a person. I think they look at that. But
I love when you reminded me
mhm,
that we were Abecedarians. That's what we were called as we were learning ubiquity. Um, and what our time of learning was called being on trial.
Mhm.
So it was a trial where we had to, of course, learn, but prove that we were capable of maintaining our family, that we were capable of being there for each other, that we were capable of being a brother or a sister to each other. And it wasn't there was no harshness or bitterness to the experience. It was uh, there was no hitting,
Beating, beating,
fighting,
yeah.
beating,
Mhm.
or
Love, 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 love.
intimidating. No, it wasn't that at all. So that's why, again, I say it took special people to even gravitate towards what ubiquity was about, because we had to want to do that. Like you said, there were people that came that wanted that family and that needed that
Yeah.
family. Yes,
Mhm.
and they found it. I gotta be honest with you, I don't remember as much about the trial period as you do, because when I was about to join Ubiquity, I was running for Miss School of Communications
Miss
in
Howard.
1985. And I won Miss School of Communications
I
1985 at
love
Howard
it.
University. And then I went on to compete in the Miss Howard pageant. And I did place. I placed first runner up. I didn't make Miss Howard. I was a heartbeat away. I was
But
on that.
I want to say historically, who made Miss Howard was Charlene
Karen Molina White.
Carmelina White, who actually was on a different world and was actually the voiceover for a Proud Family. So she went on, she was a fine arts major. But you were first, and we helped your ass get
See,
through your period, Miss
yes,
Howard. A
yes,
lot of
yes,
your
yes,
brothers and sisters in
yes.
Ubiquity were there.
Yes, that's why I was saying that we had to show up for each other, and
Yeah.
you all showed up for me in a big way.
Mhm.
You all who are in the School of C showed up for me in a big way. You
Mhm.
all showed up for me backstage, helping me prepare for the show. Showed
She
up in
was
a
so
big way.
spastic and crazy. She was spastic. Hello. But we we slapped her in the face and said, "Stop it. You can do this."
Yes, I mean everything showed up in a big way, but that's what
Yeah.
family does, and that's
Yeah.
what you did for me. And
Yeah.
so I feel um to give back in the way that I can by loving the organization so much that in this current environment that we're in, knowing the significance of the family returning back to its roots, knowing that the black man and the black woman being the foundation of the family has to find its and our way back to each other. We have
Mhm.
to do that. And so I was real quick. I know I was went back to Howard's 100th anniversary in October. And when I got on campus, the first event that I did was Ubiquity's Happy Hour. And man, when I got there, I was so happy to see everybody. I was
Yeah.
like, oh my gosh, my first love, my first organization. And then it hit me. I said, oh, once I got on campus and got to the tree and was connecting with my first connections were to
I'm gonna put these up
our
as you're talking, but go ahead.
yeah, our ABCdarian, not ABCdarians, we're ubiquitarians now, but the ubiquitarians that were on our line. Hey, those
There
folks.
goes me in the green and you
Yeah.
right beneath me.
In
Yeah,
the
I'm with
blue, I
you.
think that was a blue and white tie-dye. Yeah. I was looking for these folks and I found those folks. And I was like, man, wow, we're here. We're here. We're at the tree. wow, our stomping grounds. Wow. I was so excited. I said, wow, look at us. And then when we were young and we were vibrant and we were taking over the world and we were making changes and we were bringing down institutions and we were empowering our communities. We were black, black on black, black on black, black on black, right?
Yes. But you know what? You're saying we were, but we have been in existence, and we're gonna wrap this up because we're gonna bring back the founders next week, and we want to really give you all history. But one of the things is, we are still here. So we didn't spread, and the reason why we started this podcast is we were talking over the holiday. We were like, why isn't Ubiquity on different campuses like the Deltas and AKs or whatever? Why this? Why that? So we said, we need to start a podcast. We need to inform the world of our greatness. We need to continue the tradition of bringing Ubiquity and the principles that the founding fathers instilled to a wider audience so that it can possibly find itself on other campuses and spread, even in our 52nd year. Yeah. So this is our community service to our brothers and sisters in the organization, because we are going to continue building FTLOEO. That's going to be a thing, y'all. We're going to continue building 52 years plus. And so with that, we want to say that we are going to be back next Saturday at 12 o'clock Eastern time with some of the founding fathers and mothers, I would say brothers and sisters, to talk a bit more about the history and how the word Ubiquity became an organization, because we are everywhere at one time. And that's what our theme song is. UBIQUITI. We are everywhere.
We are everywhere at the same time, honey.
Yes. And there's so many talented individuals, people that have gone on to be judges and lawyers and dentists and doctors and mothers and daddies, because that's important too, because the Black family is important, and that's one of the things that we stress in
Ubiquity.
That's right.
So
we gonna close out, Camille. Any closing words until we can get to the founding fathers?
I am excited. I am excited to be here. I'm excited to launch this very important dialogue and conversation about who we are. And look, we are family and we have fun in family. So we're gonna have fun. It's gonna be a great time. We're gonna kick it. We're gonna party. We're gonna talk to folks. We're gonna celebrate us, and we want you to come along.
Yes, we do. Okay, with that, I was hoping that I had. Oh man, I don't have our Ubiquity video. But if you go to our YouTube channel, Ubiquity for the Love of Each Other, you will see our video. We want you to like and subscribe.
As we
grow, you grow, Ubiquity grows, everybody grows, 52 and beyond. So with that, we say Habari Gani. We'll meet again. That's Swahili for hi. How are you? We'll meet you again on the other side.
Peace and love.
Take care.